You are new to our community, so why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Glennis Mara. I am the newly minted director of Biolabs located in Soho. So thanks for having me, and I'm very much curious about real estate in New York. This is new. I'm a scientist by training, serial entrepreneur, and tech ventures expert, but real estate is new for me. So.
Yeah, so Glennis runs the Biolabs at NYU, Langone, which is in the Hudson Square area, and that is one of the developing subclusters. Her neighbors are J Labs and the New York Genome Center and the Endless Frontier incubator at NYU, and then the new Google million square foot campus, which is right down the street from you. So love to hear more about your program and your facility and what you're doing.
Sure, I think I have some slides.
Yes.
And this is the clicker?
That is it.
Okay, so thanks for joining today. Really appreciate your time. And as mentioned, I joined Biolabs back at the end of February, so during the pandemic, and so we are reestablishing ourselves and reintroducing ourselves to the New York ecosystem. Fundamentally, Biolabs was created to provide resources for much needed resource deficient startup companies coming out of academics and larger institutes in the New York area. We've actually grown considerably since our founding in 2019. And what my entree into Biolabs has enabled is for us to focus back on the founding principles and the founders of our community. So most of the companies that enter into our community are generally very small. They just received their seed funding. They either come in with an SBIR or friends and family round. Some actually come in after a modest Series A, but these are companies that are generally not capital rich. And we focus on providing platform work processes that will enable them to efficiently execute, get to their next milestone, get to their next round in funding. And as we all know, the valley of death in biotech startup is something that's quite ubiquitous. Failure rate is very high in this early stage. And so what we're trying to do is provide the resources, the training, the expertise, so that these companies have everything needed to succeed as much as possible. A lot of what's happening at this stage is very different from later stages. So companies aren't necessarily working on strategy, legal, et cetera. They've already filed their patents. They already have, their game plan in place. It's just about execution and telling the story to get more funding, to get more advocacy, and execution to get to the milestones and the proof of concepts needed. And so we provide not just the space and all the resources, these very expensive equipment that averages about $250,000 a piece in one setting. And we arrange them in a way that the workflows and the experiments that are needed can be efficiently executed. In addition to all of that, we also provide a means for collaboration, interconnected network building. We have companies that are in a variety of different, very diverse spaces, and by having them all under one roof, they can collaborate, interact, actually exchange ideas, troubleshoot together. And we recently acquired a science coordinator who helps everyone with technical support using the equipment and actually training hands-on in basic workflows. Now, Biolabs was founded about 3 years ago with the efforts of NYU, Biolabs, which is headquartered in Cambridge, and EDC in New York. We are actually located in tax-free zone in Soho, near Hudson Square, near Soho, and I think one of the more vibrant neighborhoods for biotech in New York right now. The neighborhood has traditionally been associated with fringe culture, with bringing new things to the fore in New York City. Lots of cultural endeavors have started there. And so we think with the Google, with ourselves, with JLabs, and also the Genome Center, not only will it be new cultural things, but new technological things being generated in that space as well. In terms of our community, just some numbers. We right now are 31 companies. Most of these companies, all of these companies are in one way or another advancing life. What I try to tell my team and everyone who we're trying to get as advocates for our community is that if everything comes to bear, everything that's being executed in our site actually goes forth in the world and produces a product or service, we will all be living longer, having better quality of life, and more time with our loved ones on this earth, and we will be in a more sustainable environment. So the work that's being done there is incredibly important. We have 140 members and 84 scientists. And so that's a lot of people running around on a daily basis, so operationally, something unique. In terms of the profile of the companies, we're a uniquely, I believe, diverse community. We have about 50% therapeutic companies who are working in traditional small molecules and also biologics, but the other 45% or so are actually involved in more non-traditional aspects of therapeutics, including biosimilar, precision fermentation, in silico, algorithm development, and also diagnostic tools. Now, as most of you have heard, we've had quite a bit of success with some of our graduating companies. Immuni being, I think, one of the most recent ones that have made news. Just a few weeks ago announced that they closed Series B and it was over 200 million. This company started at BioLabs with 2 members when they graduated just this past weekend. There were 40 members, and the company had grown from 2 people to 130. We want to be very clear that this happened even in the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And this is a testament to having the resources available, having founders who just, are amazing, well-organized, and determined, absolutely determined to execute, and having a team that they can scale with and grow with that stays with them in New York. And so it seems like for Immuni at least, and also our other 2 graduating companies, whatever is here, the recipes for success have been efficiently delivered to them, even in such a chaotic environment as the pandemic, mm-hmm. for them to execute and succeed and get to their next steps of commercial development. And with that said, I just want to stress that BioLabs is more than just space. We are very much focused on the idea that at this early stage, companies' hurdles are technical and also capital raise. And so we're trying to improve the science, trying to help them improve the story, and overall improve efficiencies to get to the next milestone fast, because that's what will allow them to win. So with that, thank you, and feel free to reach out with any questions, and always happy to network in this new community here.
Yeah, one of the things you were talking about, the neighborhood and the transportation around there and the proximity connecting to all of the other boroughs. When I was running the New York Genome Center, Yasmin Patty and Bill Harvey and I and a number of others in this room, we looked at over 100 sites throughout the city before we decided on the 101 Avenue of the Americas. And the reason was that is kind of the apex of where all of the transportation networks come together. Yeah. And so you can get easily anywhere else in the city. And actually, our board was all of the academic medical centers in the city. And they voted to locate the facility there. So that says a lot about where you are and what the neighborhood is.
Yeah, that neighborhood is absolutely priceless. We are within steps, literally steps of the 1 train. We're around the corner from the E train. There's just just the vibrancy. I think it's a wonderful place to see the resurgence of New York after the pandemic. When I first started in this job in February, I drove in, I didn't recognize the place. It was a ghost town. There were just, just bags. No one was around. Now, on an average day at 5 p.m., the streets are bustling and our site's full. And I think it's a wonderful testament of what we're emerging from and the future opportunities and future trajectory.
Yeah, and just to give an example of two of your more companies that are working in areas that are less traditional. So Helena, right, is a synthetic biology company reproducing breast milk synthetically. And C16 Biosciences with the replacement of palm oil, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and if you just think about the impact of these two companies, so the idea of Helena is that it's immunoequivalent milk substitute, breast milk substitute, which is a very different model from what currently exists. And so the idea is that we wouldn't have to rely on dairy products or bovine products. Similarly with C16, the environmental impact is tremendous if this company succeeds. They're actually looking to replace palm oil, and for most people who are not in the know, palm oil is in virtually most personal care products on the market, and it's responsible for most of the destruction of the rainforest in Asia. So if they are successful, again, tremendous impact on all of our lives and this planet. And I think the effort's important. And so, C16 recently graduated. They're moving into the Taconic building in Midtown. And so I think the model here, where we have a robust pipeline of early stage companies actually fostering further development, real estate development, additional funding, capital activity in the VC community, I think is important. And so this pipeline, from my perspective, is absolutely vital. Of course, I'm biased, but it's vital for everything we're discussing here, everything that's driving the growth of life science ecosystem. We have to get innovators who are willing to take the risk, who are supported to get to that step of hiring, raising, etc.
Yeah. Any thoughts or questions? Okay, well, I'm giving you guys chances. Thank you very much for joining us, Glenys.
And kudos to you for being the first to dive into in-person.
Yeah.